All right, what's up, everybody? We're live. Today was kind of a impromptu stream, making up for yesterday. There was a lot of videos and information that I want to cover when it comes to Pulsex, Hex, Pulsechain, and then also a recent interview that was done, uploaded today. Link Up TV, I believe, was what the title was about. So before I get into it, I do want to say I know Wales is live, so I didn't mean to stream over him. I actually was waiting for a little bit for people to be able to watch his stream, and also I have his stream linked. Once again, I don't like streaming over people, but I didn't intend to miss yesterday's stream as well. So hope everyone's doing well. Let's just say what's up here. We got Precious Hex says what's up. Says it was great. Exactly. Yeah, the interview was absolutely amazing. And let's just cover that right now. So once again, you can go watch Wales' stream. It's in the description right now. And feel free to watch this one later if you guys prefer. So let's get right into it. We're going to post this one right here. Okay, so this is the actual, and let me remove the comment here. Okay, so this is the actual interview that I'm talking about. And the reason that this is such a big deal is because Link Up TV has 2.03 million subscribers. And we saw the last major, big interview of Richard Hart, which was a live stream, and that was from Meet Kevin. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that Meet Kevin was able to interview Richard, right? What a great opportunity. But I think as far as what has a bigger impact on what Richard was able to say, the interviewer specifically, right? If they were able to get the message or not. I think this one, Link Up TV, has a lot better of a impact and kind of a message for people to understand. Let's just say what's up to the chat once again. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. Red Squirrel, how are you doing? Says evening Bran. Dan Smith says, hey Balliet Bran, happy new year from a chilly UK. Yeah, I definitely know it's a lot colder over there, so hope you're staying warm, and thank you for tuning in. MT Coiner says, what's up, Rand? That was a great interview. It really was, and I've made videos about this in the past, but Richard says the same thing, that, hey, if you ask better questions, then you'll get better answers. And once again, I don't want to harp or talk too much per se about the Meet Kevin interview, but Kinetics and actually Jay, they did a little recap of that interview. And the point that I'm getting at is a lot of those questions that were asked had been answered before many times over again. And so the Link Up TV interview kind of brings some of Richard's past that was never really covered all the way. He goes over the Panama story a little bit more and just a whole bunch more that I can't really cover all right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to clip this actual video. If I can, I will. I just want to make sure that since it is such a big channel, that I don't get copyright strikes, or I might post it on a backup channel so my main Balliet brand doesn't get risked of a copyright strike. Let's see. Dan Smith says, hey Red. Let's see. Aradale. Chaotic Creations, FX Studios, Johnny Chaos, how are you, man? Says lots of content today. Well, and there really is. Once again, it's really hard to keep up with all of it, and that's an amazing thing. It's amazing that we've actually got Maddie streaming right now too. So myself, Maddie, Wales, that's awesome, right? What other community has, I guarantee you right now, as far as Bitcoin, do they have 3 Bitcoin live streams going on right now? Maybe not. So that's an absolutely amazing way to think of it, that, hey, we're growing so exponentially right now that this really is just the beginning, and that pre-virality that Richard says before we really, blast off to where this is going to go and what our potential is going to be. Eroy Slade says, great interview, much better than Ask Kevin. Exactly. Definitely covered that. I think this interview will, reach more people, and hopefully the people that did see the Meet Kevin interview, they can do some of their own deducing and some of their own research to to really find out that, hey, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And now you've got Pulsex. We're going to cover that sacrifice a little bit and get back into it. Okay. All right, Knife Hexagon, that was an amazing interview. Let's see. T.S. Froshman, hello. How are you, man? Hope you're doing well. Hex James says, good day, Bran. Hey, good day to you as well. So stoked to have got to watch that interview, laying down the knowledge as usual, Richard Hart. Exactly. That's one of the most amazing things that I like about Richard. Not only does he give you, such amazing content for free, but he's consistent with his message, and he updates his worldview as well to stay relevant, as opposed to staying in the past and not updating the worldview. Meet Kevin was out to get him. I totally agree, and once again, I think that as Wales only says, right? I've learned so much from him. First off, but as he says, the furus, right? The fake gurus, or just the people that might not be in the know and might not stay up to date with all of their interviews and the people that they're going to have on. So it did kind of feel like a recap of that. I mean, we've dealt with this kind of hate since December 2nd, 2019. So that was definitely another one of those types of interviews. But I think it's absolutely amazing, the opportunity, right? Happy New Year, brother, from New Zealand, says Dat Dodgy Hexagon. Awesome to see you. Happy New Year as well. And it's off to a great start. And once again, like Will's only said, I mean, the new year is great. It's new calendar reset, but every day really is that same opportunity that the new year provides. Happy New Year. Okay, yeah. So Salvatore says, Happy New Year, buddy. This is great stuff and looking forward to learning more. Sorry, but 2022 is going to be amazing. Sodman says, very straight, forward interview as he answered all questions as he always does. Never is stumped, just facts. Exactly. And that's one of the awesome things that Richard does. He's mentioned, people ask him, they say, and we'll get to that in just a second, but people ask Richard and they say, well, I mean, Richard's such a, good debater and things like this. And Richard's always said, like, well, hey, if I have the facts and the truth on my side, and that's what I'm presenting, which is what he does, then he's always going to win. He's always going to have that kind of, message. So I think that's really cool. Eroy Slade says, what brand of shoes was Richard wearing? Well, he's wearing the Moon Boots brand. Let me actually, you can kind of see these. I don't know, they might be, I don't really know or care what brand. They might be Gucci or something, but those are the Moon Boots that I like to call them and that a lot of other Hexicans have. So that was pretty funny. Let's see here. So Ramon Carrillo says she was way more prepared than Meet Kevin was. And I totally agree. Once again, goes to show you that Richard can deal with the confrontation or like the what if questions or things like that. And he can have a certain kind of, the actual video can kind of have a certain response. And then someone else like this lady that did her research can have a much better response by just asking proper questions and doing due diligence. Once again, that makes a huge difference. Empty Coiner says, the Meet Kevin interview looked like the Peter McCormick interview compared to this one. Totally agree. And once again, with such a big follower count that person has, Meet Kevin, hopefully some of those people that were still listening were able to kind of decide what was truth and maybe what was not. Leroy Prada. Oh, okay. They were Prada boots. Yeah, he has the same color in black, I guess, too. RIB says, the Panama story was amazing. Hard to imagine Richard Hart being scammed. That's super true. And Richard did mention something as well that I think is interesting. He had said that when he had went to Panama, that a lot of the people that he thought were his friends and thought he could trust really were kind of, doing deals with other people and kind of, screwed him over. He had mentioned even the lawyer that was representing him had stolen from him, right? He had stolen his house. So it's cool to hear some of that backstory, because for someone that's been following Richard for such a long time, so many years, he hasn't always gone into detail with some of those things. So I'm happy that he was able to share that here and kind of dispute any, FUD that may have ever existed. Once again, disputing it with facts. Red Squirrel says, meet Kevin, didn't care or had an agenda. I agree that he did have an agenda. When you look at Kinetics and Jay, they did a recap, like a response to the video as they were playing it. And you could kind of tell that maybe Meet Kevin wasn't listening very much, and maybe had just a whole script of questions that was like in a queue, right? He wanted to ask the next question versus actually listening. You can tell when they're looking at the screens too, if they're looking at the camera or if they're reading something. So once again, awesome opportunity. Let's just say what's up to the chat real quick. So Scotty WWJD, loved his demeanor in this interview. Was awesome. Definitely agree. All right, let's get back into, I'll cover some of the chat in just a few more minutes, but let's get into some of the other stuff that I wanted to cover. Because once again, it's a monumental day, and we'll get into it in just 1 second. Okay, so for those that don't know, today is, the Bitcoin network launched exactly 13 years ago today. And I'll show you guys kind of like the block explorer. But Pomp is saying, on this day in 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto mined the first Bitcoin block and changed the world. Happy birthday, Bitcoin. So wanted to cover his tweet, but then also show you the actual block that was mined to once again verify that it is factual and not just hearsay. We're going to paste that here. Okay, so this is just on blockchain.com, and it's a Bitcoin block explorer. Let me remove the comment just for now. We'll get into the chat in just a few minutes. I'll probably just play the intro as the outro today, because I do kind of want to be succinct and respectful of everyone's time, since someone else is, 2 other people are already streaming. So once again, block 0, right? This block was mined on January 3rd, 2009 at 10:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time by an unknown, person, entity, whatever. So that's really cool. Okay, so that's the confirmation there. Once again, I said Maddie is streaming, and so obviously as well as only. We're going to cover something that's going to be happening, I believe, this Thursday. So it's the hexconference.com, the annual presentation and online conference that Maddie Allen is hosting. There's going to be a lot of people actually presenting. I think I'll be going on actually the very last day. I haven't completely confirmed it, but I'm pretty sure it's the last day for one of these socials. So definitely tune in for that. Hexpo.online is where you can kind of refer other people and share with other people the links. So we're going to do the online conference first, and then the actual physical in-person Vegas conference is going to be, March 6th through the 9th. That's going to be really, really fun. Okay, let's get back into the chat here and just say what's up to everyone. Okay. Yeah, Fire Knife Hexagon brings up a good point. So says, yeah, meet Kevin. Tried, but Richard Hart answered all the questions and killed it. Probably made Richard and Hex look even better. Totally agree. That's so true. Nardo, how are you doing, man? Awesome to see you. It's so cool how many amazing people we do have in this community, and I'm able to learn from so many people, but also call a lot of these Hexicans and people in the community my friends. Nardo's definitely one of them. Says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Let's see. Happy New Year from Hawaii. Always love all of your content. Thank you. 4 Doors GTZ says, guessing that's a car reference, says, more interviews from interviewers instead of click farmers. I agree, man. I actually used to watch, let's see, Graham, Stefan, or Steven, and I think it is Stefan, and then meet Kevin and some of those other people as well. And then, I kind of realized, okay, you want to be using the information versus just listening to the information. And you're definitely right about kind of the click farming and the clickbait. So that kind of just got old after a while. And I'm happy that I realized to kind of change pace. Eroy Slade says, Joe Rogan soon? I'm not too sure. I mean, I know even people like Lex Friedman, right? He's offered Richard to do an interview with him, but Richard mentions that he's in Europe and he's not in the States. And especially with things like Pulsechain and everything else, what a even though it's an amazing opportunity, that might be a distraction as opposed to just finishing Pulsechain and then going on to Lex Friedman. So when you look at just untapped potential and all of the positive things that are going on and that are already like priming the pump for 2022 in the future, I mean, yeah, you have Lex Friedman whenever Richard does do that interview. People like Joe Rogan do watch Lex, and I think that'll all be something that happens, but it's just going to take time, right? Nothing happens overnight. That was the best interview I've seen of him to date. Great interview, great interviewer, better answers, and the best of all, it was a channel with over 2 million subscribers. Totally. Yeah, people are definitely privy to what's going on with Hex. I mean, you've got things like Pulsechain that, as far as the sacrifice goes, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be sacrificing for Pulsechain anymore, right? That bonding curve has taken effect, and every single day ramps up by the 5% of the bonding curve. So, it might be better for someone that didn't, you feel like you missed out on Hex, you feel like you missed out on Pulsechain. Well, instead of feeling like you missed out on those, maybe someone that didn't invest in those might want to sacrifice possibly for Pulsex, because Richard did mention that so the chain will actually be live, but with Pulsechain before the bridge goes live. And I still don't know how all of this is going to work, but I just know about it in theory from what I've thought about. But you'll be able to swap even like your Pulsex for Pulse or your Hex for Pulse. You'll be able to kind of pre-swap before the bridge. And once again, I'm not too sure how that's going to work, but a cool opportunity for those that want to do that. Absolutely perfect timing, Balliet. Lynn was awesome. Kevin was a disaster. If Richard Hart thinks Satoshi is dead, it's possible to deduce the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. Just get some water here. Wales is a popped. Okay, we're just gonna do that. Hey, Brand, says Daniel 87 Linseed. Nice to see you. All right, gonna put the water down here. Okay, so Vin, nice to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Says hello, Bran. Finally made it to a live stream. Happy New Year's. Hey, Happy New Year's to you, Vin. Nice to see you. We need more interviews like that one. Not the same thing always. Interviews with people that don't know about Hex. I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that the exposure on that person's channel, Meet Kevin, is great. But I also agree that more of kind of the same old narratives aren't the best either. Let's see. By the way, all the best to the community. And Salmon20 says Happy New Year, Bran. And Sandy B, hey, says bang bang. 0xD1, D1D0 says Richard is the patron saint of crypto. Totally agree. MT Coiner says I think Richard. Oh, sorry. Let me click on it. MT Coiner says I think Richard Hart is practicing delayed gratification when it comes to Lex and Joe Rogan. I think he wants to launch Pulsechain and displace Ethereum before going on to the most popular shows in the world. It's true. And you look at what Richard said about, Pulsechain, that the chain's not even launched yet, right? We're still in testnet. And so how much more of an impact, as MT Coiner is mentioning, would those interviews have if the chain has actually launched already and people are able to see once again that, hey, now this isn't just theory of Pulsex and Pulsechain and what is Hex that's already been launched, but now you've got those that have been launched it just gives more people information to talk about and learn about. Hex Monkey says, "Hey Hex fam, how's it going, Hex Monkey? If you're going to be in Vegas, would definitely be looking forward to seeing you again. And I'll tell you what, I am really looking forward to meeting everyone in Vegas. That'll be really fun. And it's actually funny because I know Cabana Crypto and I think Motley and some others had mentioned that I guess Tone Vays is having some sort of conference in Vegas like a couple of days before. So that is kind of funny that there's some Hexicans that are going to be going there. And once again, not hating, not calling out and criticizing, but just kind of leading by example. And I think that's the best thing that we can do. Daniel says, do you think we are in a dead cat bounce brand? So that's a really good question. And it's actually something that I wanted to cover. Let me just change tabs real quick here. So we're going to go to Nomics and kind of just see what the actual Bitcoin market and maybe some others are looking like right now. Let's share the screen again. So great question. Do I think we are in a dead cat bounce? Well, here's the thing that I do think is that Richard had mentioned from the day of his top call, I think it was like 88% in profit if someone had kind of traded that. 69,000, I believe, was the absolute all-time high for Bitcoin. And as far as the question goes, yeah, I think we are in a bear market. I mean, to be honest, until something is proven otherwise, and until Bitcoin goes and makes a new all-time high and things like that, it just doesn't seem that there's much more buy pressure that would actually, cancel out all of this sell pressure. And like Richard says, it's almost like the more buying causes more buyers, right? Because the price is going up. But same thing as far as like a cascade effect or like dominoes falling with the sellers and with an actual top, that once you have one really big whale that sells, it kind of punches the nose to the market, and then everyone else kind of sells. And whether that's one big whale or whether it's a whole bunch of people that kind of collectively make a whale is the same kind of expectation and what happens. So same thing with Ethereum, $3,777. That's kind of nice that the price is going down, right? Because the fees are a little bit cheaper, but it's still nothing compared to what they used to be just a couple of years ago. Davis, how are you doing, man? Yo, I made it. Nice to see you, Davis. Everybody just hold your horses, not fudding, just asking a question. Oh, totally. No, I definitely agree. I mean, I don't think that question is FUD at all. I mean, and at the end of the day, my response is just opinion. It always is opinion, right? It's not fact. So it's just kind of playing off of what Richard initially said, what I see with the market, and especially that, there was only one day that his top call was, I guess was wrong, quote unquote, and that it had made like a newer all-time high. I think he called it at 65,000 and it went to 69. But that was only one day. If you look at all of the other days, it's, it hasn't been too great. So I'm happy to honestly not have to worry about what the hell Bitcoin is doing or Ethereum or the rest of the market. The way that the liquidity in Hex is tied to USDC, the primary liquidity, that makes us a lot more decorrelated from other cryptos that are correlated with Bitcoin, and they have their liquidity paired with either Ethereum or Bitcoin. Because say if Bitcoin and Ethereum, they all kind of go in a bear market, well then all of the other cryptos that have their liquidity tied to it, they're all going to subsequently go down as well. Hex Monkey says, I'll be in Vegas for sure. Got my tickets. Nothing beats a live Hexican meetup. Recovering from Miami as we speak. Hey, I know what you mean there. I had a really good time at the Seattle conference here for a couple of days, right? There was one day before, and then there was the day itself. But recovering is definitely something we all got to do. So Ta4 Bala says, what's your prediction on Hex, bro? And by the way, we can see Hex is back in the top 10 since Nomics had kind of changed the circulating supply. But it is always nice, before I do get into that question, it is always nice to kind of see, once again, that decorrelation playing out into being consistent, right? So everything else is kind of in the red, but since Hex's liquidity isn't really correlated and tied with Bitcoin and Ethereum, then we're in the green, and we've got people that are seeing the difference between kind of the old narratives and what is actually a product. Once again, Bitcoin is 13 years old today from its Genesis block that Satoshi Nakamoto mined. And I think it's kind of like a turning point that, hey, I mean, over 13 years old, that's really old when it comes to technology and things like that. And someone like Richard, who is a early Bitcoiner, he was just able to take all of that information and experience and just do something better. Thanks, man. Haha. But I was asking specifically about Hex brand. Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of what I actually wanted to ask and clarify. So, do I think that we are in a bear market in Hex? No, I don't think so at all. I think what happens though is that sometimes, I mean, we kind of saw a similar pattern with with Pulsechain, right, where you've got something that's going to increase buy pressure immensely. And then, some people are kind of trading that. I don't think though that we are in a bear market for Hex at all. We can actually take a look real quick. Okay, let's get back into the share screen. So we had a few days of sell-off, right, for the actual sacrifice phase. And it is interesting once again to kind of see that for Pulsechain, the best thing you could have done in hindsight was to sacrifice early and not try and play those same games that the whales do, and not try and wait for a higher price and things like that, because that really is all speculation. And I saw someone on Twitter, they were saying like, oh, should I sacrifice today, or do you think I should wait because I think it might go to 50 cents? And once again, no one has a crystal ball. No one knows what is going to happen. But the thing that we do know, and we'll cover that in a minute, is that the actual bonding curve, the 5% per day, will take place with Pulsex. And, that will have a impact on the actual points that people are getting per dollar sacrificed. So I personally don't think that we are. And the thing that I like to do, I mentioned like, hey, I'm not a trader. I'm not definitely by no means an expert when it comes to any of this. But if we just look at version 2, and then now we look at version 1, let's see here, there's version 1. This is personally what I kind of look at. And I know I mention it a lot and kind of just zoom out in the chart, but even to answer the question, right, even as a hypothetical, even if we are in a bear market for Hex, quote unquote, I mean, look at how little the actual previous bear markets have taken in time. And that goes to show you that not only does something like Hex follow a cycle like every other market does, but since it takes less time to recover than, say, things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or other markets, then it's showing that there's more demand. And Richard had actually mentioned in the interview that I have in the description, the first link, is he kind of points out Gerardo's website, which maybe we can pull up here in a second. But let me actually just pull it up so I can kind of be relevant. But he mentions like, okay, this is Bitcoin as far as its angle. It did 6.9 million X from a penny. Congratulations, Bitcoin, you're 13 years old. That's awesome, right? But do I think people that made that 6.9 million X are going to, that they're going to make another 6.9 million X, or people that are new investors that heard about that 6.9 million X? Do I personally think that Bitcoin is going to be, the best opportunity for that? I personally don't think so. So Richard had mentioned, okay, Bitcoin's kind of like this, Ethereum's kind of like this, and then Hex is like this. And I just thought that that was so cool. Once again, we'll pull that up. We'll pull that up right now. Okay, so once again, shout out to Gerardo, lookintohex.com. Absolutely amazing resource and tool for everyone to use. We're going to scroll down here, and this is what Richard was talking about in that interview. So here's Bitcoin, right? It did its 6.9 million X. Now it's 13 years old, and you can see its slope, right? And then Ethereum is actually great. You know, you can actually build stuff on top of it. It's not just a narrative. But then Hex is just so much more steep of an angle, and it already did the 10,000x that Ethereum did, but it did it in 2 years, in under 2 years actually, instead of the 2.5 that it did for Ethereum. So it kind of just shows you that, hey, just like with what Richard learned from Bitcoin, he also learned from Ethereum. And I'm really looking forward to see what Pulsechain does compared to, say, Ethereum. Sandy Beach says, hey, Bran and everyone, how's it going? Or sorry, yeah, that was Sandy Beach, and then we have Sandy B. Let's get back here. It says, Dan Emmons had a pretty spot-on call as well as a shorter time frame. That's awesome. Yeah, Dan is great. He actually does have a Twitch channel, and I know that he had one stream the other day. I was trying to see if he was going to stream onto YouTube as well, because honestly, Twitch doesn't really notify me that much anymore. And I don't know, I kind of just prefer YouTube. But it's really cool to see Dan streaming. And he also actually does, he was doing a little bit of chess in the stream that I saw, similar to Brandon with Rags to Riches. Hex Future says, see you at Vegas, Hex Monkey. You too, Bran. Awesome. Yeah, I'll see everyone there in Vegas. Looking forward to that. That'll be the second time. So kind of know what I'm getting into. Lots of smart individuals in this community. Totally. Yeah, I mean, you look at the screen that I was just sharing a second ago, Gerardo. I don't know if he's still live or not, but Whales Only, the link is in the description for his stream. You know, he makes charts as well. And when you have a whole bunch of people that are doing this collectively and, you know, they're not asking for any money, they're just doing this out of the goodness of their heart and because that's what they're skilled at. When you have so many people doing that in a community and each person's kind of bringing different perspectives that, you know, maybe the other person didn't cover all the way, you really have greatness and you really have knowledge from just so many different points of view. So that's really the best thing that we can do. And Wales does a really good job of doing the, you know, the macroeconomics of things and kind of just the whole financial aspect of Hex, crypto, and the old system, you know, why it's all important. Okay, let's see. So MT Coiner says, the dip is likely whales playing whale games. Whales can easily push the price down to protect their sacrifice position by making it more costly to displace them. Mean, but it makes sense. And that's smart. It's true. We've seen that in the past, right, with, say, Pulsechain. But we also know that there's a lot of whales in Hex and that do want to participate in Pulsex. So as far as people trying to analyze, once again, like the tweet that I'd seen the other day, instead of like trying to analyze like, okay, what's going to be the best, things like that, I think people need to just you know, realize that you're never going to make like the perfect trade, because that's really what that is, trying to time it absolutely perfectly. And ideally, it's just the execution that kind of matters. I mean, if you're going to sacrifice, personally, I think people that sacrifice before the bonding curve, they do, you know, possibly a lot better than someone that just waits for main day launch type of deal. Okay, so let's get back into some of the other stuff that I wanted to cover. Let's get into some of the Pulsex, because that's really what this stream I wanted to be about primarily. Share the screen. Oh yeah, and then completion fail says, let's go, Brandon. Awesome, let's go, completion fails. Okay, so this is Richard Hart, right? He says, Pulsex.com is up. Uniswap forked airdrop to those that sacrifice to prove they believe freedom of movement and assembly are important human rights. So it's cool that Richard has not only developed amazing financial products and opportunities, right? But the idea of the sacrifice for these statements, I think, is really cool and kind of just telling of, you know, things like this that are going on that are positive for people. Says sacrifice site, pulsex.info. The world's largest free airdrop is pulsechain.com. So they'll launch together. Pulsechain will launch, and so will Pulsex kind of at the same time. as far as the actual resource of the Pulsex, let's just see how much has been sacrificed. Because if I go back to see how much was sacrificed in Pulsechain and for Pulsechain, it's $670 million roughly, not accounting what the origin address had sacrificed at the very end. So when we go to pulsex.com, we're nearly at $300 million. And if we scroll down real quick, right here, we can see 5 days and 23 hours pretty much until this actual bonding curve starts. And we can see that it does kind of go up pretty steep. So definitely consider that for your strategy and if you are going to sacrifice. And once again, understand what that actually means. It's not going to be like buying something like Hex or Bitcoin or Ethereum that is already on the market and that is already live currently, but it's something that is being developed. I mean, Richard mentioned the code is already done, but we need to wait for Pulsechain to launch before this actually comes to fruition. So it's kind of just delaying the gratification and realizing what you're sacrificing for / possibly investing in. But we can see just how much money has been sacrificed already, and the primary majority of the sacrifice is Hex, $179 million. Let's just say what's up to the chat here. Angelo M says, "What's going on, Bran? Thanks for the stream. Awesome. Apology. Let's see. Are we too late to be a millionaire investing, say, $1,000 in this?" So once again, I would have to, I assume that you're referring to Pulsex as far as that $1,000, but I would kind of need some clarification. I mean, maybe you can just comment that, but that's what I am assuming that you're asking about. I mean, when this question is asked, it really, once again, just goes to show you how early we are. You look at something like Bitcoin that did 6.9 million X gains from a penny, right? Return on investment from a penny. And you see that now it's 13 years old as of today from the Genesis block. But then you look at something like Hex that's just done 10,000x in under 2 years and what it's designed to do, right? Richard talks about store of value being, the best thing that you would want to replace or have as a metric versus, say, something like a currency. But something like Hex just happens to do currency better and just happens to do store of value better than, say, Bitcoin. So as far as to answer your question directly, I don't think that the opportunity is too late at all. I think it is so early that we almost think it's too late, which is kind of a funny dichotomy. But it's as Crypto Heartbeat says last night in his stream, that when he was on the internet, in the early days, that you had to type in actual IP addresses before they had www. So that kind of goes to show you the perspective in relation to where crypto is, and especially with where Richard Hart projects are and products compared to where it'll be 10 years from now, things like that. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's too late. And honestly, I think this is really a once in a lifetime opportunity. But it's so funny because when I first got into Hex and we did the adoption amplifier and referral and things like that, I never thought that there was going to be Pulsechain, but Richard also never intended on creating a second crypto because he didn't think that Ethereum and Vitalik was kind of going to screw over the hexagon so much that would make it, so costly to end the stakes. AJ Rip City Hex says, "Brand the man, what's up, brother? Happy New Year, my hexagon peeps. Hex rules." Totally, man. Happy New Year to you, AJ, as well. Nice to see you. And once again, thank you. Jerry Oaksmith, hey, how's it going, bro? Nice to see that it's not snowing, right? All of the snow here, at least in my area, in the Washington State and Seattle area, has melted. So happy to be driving safely. But he says, "Happy New Year, hexagons." Holster Bader says, "Hey, it's Brandon. I keep missing your live streams. You are a legend." Well, I think it's just consistency that matters the most as far as being a legend and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I think as far as the community goes and things like that, I think a lot of us are quote unquote legends and stuff like that. So appreciate the compliment. And yeah, generally I stream at Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Apology, he says, okay, I need to work, or he says, I need no work money. I know what you mean. Posterbator says, like and subscribe, get this man to 5,000 subscribers. Yeah, I appreciate it. The thing that I will say about that as well is it's so cool to see, and we'll cover the screen in just a second, but it's so cool to see, people like Crypto Heartbeat, when you mentioned the 5,000, someone like him has absolutely almost kind of like, come out of nowhere type of deal, or come from nowhere. And it's really cool because now he is over 5,000. I think he's over 6,000 now. But people like him, and then the other person is Colton, which is K4K Crypto. I think I'd have to go back, but I know he's over 6,000 subscribers now. And once again, that's in under like a month, something like that. So the community is hungry for everyone, right? For people that are going to come on board. And the really awesome thing about it is people are bringing in new perspectives, once again, that we maybe didn't hear about before, or that further help people understand what you're really holding. Johnny Chaos was in the chat here just a second ago towards the beginning, and he mentioned a long time ago, and I think that his videos are very profound, but he talks about kind of like unit bias, right? A lot of the people that got in Hex early, they might think just because you got a whole bunch that, oh, okay, I got a whole bunch for cheap. This is almost like marbles, right? Compared to, say, diamonds. And you have that unit bias, but in reality, just because you got a good deal and you have a whole bunch doesn't mean that what you're holding isn't something like a diamond. So that was kind of his analogy for something like Hex. And it's awesome to see where that will go in the future and kind of how that really stands true over time. Yep, Brandon, Pulsex. AW says, if you're in any doubt, you're early. Totally agree. Ask 10 friends to explain blockchain. I totally agree. It's actually, it's kind of funny because when I first interviewed for the company that I was working at, Mutual Materials, in 2017, I think it was like maybe early 2017, but they were kind of asking me like, okay, what do you want to do in 5 years? And I'm just thinking like, man, that's a long time to think ahead. But I did mention crypto and I did mention some of the investments. And, the response was kind of like, not humility, but they kind of like laughed at the idea. They kind of, scoffed it off. And it's funny how, I don't know, like 3.5 years later from that interview, that they weren't really laughing anymore. And I think just like with the internet, as a perfect analogy, people understand, as Crypto Girl says, like the internet isn't just for email. You can do so much more with it. And it's awesome to see that the people that were in early, that did understand, that took the time to recognize what the heck this technology was, it's awesome to see how well that they were rewarded. AW says, if somebody doubts Hex, ask them to explain T-shares. Well, and honestly, I know we talk about T-shares a lot, but as other Hexicans have mentioned, I know Motley's talked about this a lot, but it would be nice for, because we see the payout per T-share and things like that, but it really is just shares at the end of the day that matter. I'd be curious to see what the actual price per T-share really is. Here, I'm going to go to apex.win/charts. So, you can look at the price of a T-share, but at the end of the day, a T-share just means 1 trillion shares. And it really is just that unit of measurement for how much of the daily yield that you're getting. But when we look at, say, what are, B shares, right? 1 billion shares, or M shares, or like Will's only says with K shares, 1,000 shares. It really is the amount of time that you're holding on to it for that I think kind of matters the most. Let's see, $4,892 for a T-share right now. So that's really cool to look at and to just see how much it's gone up, right? But I don't want people that are just getting into it or just learning about this when they hear T-share to feel discouraged, because once again, I mean, if you look at just the numbers of a T-share going from say 60 cents to where it is now at nearly almost $5,000 in the time that it took, then you can realize that something like a B share or however many shares you have might act in a similar way, even though you don't have like one whole T share. Hello Wealth says, hey Bran, that really was Richard Hart's best interview. I definitely agree. And it was cool that it was in person too, right? You're able to see how Richard, acts and engages in a in-person interview, and there was just a lot of great information that was covered. Paul G says, okay, thank you. And here down under, nice to see you, my Aussie friend. On a stream, a certain person said, dealing or trading crypto has no meaning and people will lose money. Where else can people make so much gains instead of a bank deposit? There really is no better asset in investing than, say, cryptocurrency. Richard has been saying this a lot frequently, but it's something that, I mean, if you understand nothing, if the thing that you can understand is that understanding crypto is the most important thing that you can do for your financial future and your financial freedom, that's really the key takeaway. And when it comes to the 80-20 rule, and someone might hear about crypto and they might think of Bitcoin or all of these NFTs, sure, that's part of crypto, but there's only, as far as like the .com bubble and things like that, there's only a small percentage of projects or products that actually make it through the time. People are letting Brandon down. He is no wrecked pleb. I don't know what you mean there. Johnny says, I am still hanging with you, Brandman. Hey, awesome, man. Nice to see you. And once again, thank you for your videos, Johnny. Your videos are absolutely amazing. If you're not following Johnny, let me see if I can get his Twitter real quick here. 1 second here. Because yeah, you really should be watching his videos and kind of just learning from everyone. As I mentioned, someone might say something differently than another person that people are able to kind of learn from and understand how the product works, how Pulsechain works, that maybe you didn't before. So we're going to share his screen right now. Okay. So yeah, once again, CCFX Studios, Johnny Chaos. And this is actually his pinned tweet here from December 10th. And this is kind of just making fun of some of the people that are in crypto and that most people do kind of look at. This was Peter McCormick that had a really zoomed in chart of Hex. I think it was after Big Payday or is after the most recent consolidation. And it's almost like picking and choosing, because once again, it's zoomed in, it's not showing the whole narrative. And so Johnny Chaos was kind of mentioning I guess Furus like Peter McCormick. I think that's really important to be following the right people and have discernment. Okay, so we're gonna try and wrap this up and consolidate the rest of the information here. We want to go to pulsex.info to show people where you can sacrifice. Just a second here. I'm kind of getting used to the whole two-screen thing. So if I'm looking over here and it's taking another second, please be patient. So pulsex.info, once again, is where you can go to sacrifice. It's going to be similar to the pulse.info for Pulsechain. Once again, I wouldn't recommend sacrificing for Pulsechain currently with how big the bonding curve is. But you can sacrifice directly here. And it says, so this is step 1 out of 3, but it says, if you are sending on the following networks: Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon Matic, Avalanche, Ethereum Classic, or Ethereum Optimism, you can send directly to this address from your wallet. But I personally would just be connecting the MetaMask and kind of just following the steps. And once again, when you're doing something in crypto, as Wales only mentions with the blockchain and just confirmations, once you click that send button, you can't unsend. So make sure, maybe even do like a test transaction to make sure that, hey, you're sending to the right account, you're following the right steps before you send the full amount or your dollar cost average. Because for people that don't know, on day one of Hex, I did my Bitcoin free claim and things like that. But on day one of Adoption Amplifier, I FOMO'd into sending to the contract address, right? So there's many Ethereum from one of my addresses that are to the contract address and that didn't mint Hex. So just make sure you understand what you're doing, because when you are your own bank and when you have a technology like crypto, sure, there's mad gains, but if you do something wrong, there's no daddy government or there's no process that can kind of get that money back. So just really understand that. We're going to go into the next website right here before we kind of read some of the comments and then finish things off. Let's see. So pulsexlead.com. Let's paste that in the screen right here. And actually, AW says community is our biggest strength. I totally agree. Aside from the product, the community is like the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me, meeting all of these people and being able to call them friends and engage with them throughout the years. So once again, pulsexlead.com. So this is similar to the pulselead.xyz ranking, where if you're on Ethereum, it actually says at the very beginning, kind of like a disclaimer, that it's not showing every single token or crypto that you can sacrifice from. I think it's just the Ethereum set. You'll have to read that disclaimer once again. But we can see this is the Godwill's address, and they've sacrificed, right now, it's $29,252,320. And you can click on right here. Actually, I don't think I meant to do that. I meant to click on the other one. You can click on View Transactions, and you can actually see, so this is once again a Ethereum Genesis whale, and they've sacrificed 7,777 Ethereum to that cause. So, and that's actually not including, so Rackham Rochelle, Overwatch, he was the top sacrificer, not including the origin address, but he was the top sacrificer for, say, Pulsechain, and he's mentioned, I guess, that he possibly hasn't sacrificed for Pulsex. So that'll be kind of cool to see, what he does, kind of including the Godwill as well. We've got really big whales in this community that, once again, if you see this kind of money that's investing on top of all of the other people that are investing, you kind of just see, okay, I'm going to follow Team Win over here. Let's see. Brandon is son of Richard Hart. Well, Richard doesn't deny that he does or doesn't have kids, right? Just kidding. Let's see. Vic Bish says, "Hey Brandon, great show. Can I ask, how long will P-Hex take to get equal once Pulsechain launches? I'm banking on my liquid P-Hex to make my P-Chain purchase. Hope it's not sitting at zero." So someone like Jess Pitt B, right? He's really good at explaining liquidity pools, but kind of how the price is determined is based on those liquidity pools. And Richard's talked about this before. The actual liquidity pools are getting copied over as well. And if that's kind of what determines the price for what Hex is at currently, right, then I don't think it's honestly going to take much time for it to be at or near parity. But the second that bridge opens and the second that first trade does actually happen is going to determine, hey, whether it's lower or whether it's higher than, say, the Hex on Ethereum eHex. So it's all kind of relative. Davin050 says, "Where did you get that Hex shirt?" Just Amazon.com. So yeah, it's Crypto Styles USA is their vendor, but you can also go to hexmerch.com as well. They've got a lot of awesome clothing. Oh yeah, hey Johnny, he says Hex Fabio on TikTok for shorts. Diamond is on there. Awesome, man. Thank you for doing that once again. Let's see. He says it's one of the first on that. He's referring to the TikTok. When I was saying last chance at 2 cents. That's so cool, man. And now to think that we're at 24 cents, so 12 times higher than when you had made that. I think that's really cool. Dougie Peach says, "What's up?" Let's see what else we got here. What's up, Johnny Chaos? Remy Rivera says, damn Balliet, you too real. That happened to me for Pulsechain. Yeah, I know what you mean. I definitely know what you mean. The thing that you'll want to realize is that it's all perspective, right? People that got in on Hex early, people that got in on Pulsechain early, that's great, but it doesn't mean that there isn't meat on the bone, right? For what this product is and for what this kind of life-changing technology is. So it's never too late, in my opinion. Funding Jim says, nice to see you, Gary. Says, great stream, Bran. And he says here, glad you cleared up the difference between Rackham and the real Godwill. Totally. Yeah, there's, there shouldn't be any confusion. The real Godwill is the Genesis, one of the people from, or entities from the Genesis block of Ethereum, right? That C5 address. Let me actually go back here and just take a look. Okay, so once again, the 7,777 Ethereum. It's awesome that they also confirmed their identity with Funding Jim. So shout out to you, Funding Jim. Awesome to see you, man. What a great community member, and goes to show you the quality of people that we have here. But yeah, once again, I think that is important and goes to show you how bullish it is when you do have so many whales and so much smart money that knows what they're doing. Let's get back here. So Bobby Hexelrod says, great stream, Bran. Yeah, man, thank you. And it was really cool to see you actually on Crypto Heartbeat. I know, I can't speak enough good things about Crypto Heartbeat, him, K4K Crypto. I mean, there's so many people that it's hard to even list just off of memory. But someone like Crypto Heartbeat, he had actually interviewed Bobby Hexelrod the other day, just a couple of days ago. So I encourage everyone to go check that out. And once again, turn on the bell notification so you're notified, because you're able to, with someone like Bobby, it's so cool to see so many people that are in the chats. But then when you see it on an interview or a stream, you really get to understand that person a little bit more and kind of the perspective. So it's awesome to see him, and really good interview. Funding Jim says, liquid holding versus staked is always interesting in chain analysis. Yeah, you're definitely right. That's so true. So many people, they kind of speculate like, oh, this wallet or this account has X amount liquid. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to sell all of it immediately? And there's just so many unknowns with what that person or entity or individual is going to do that it's really hard to speculate. So Funding Jim breaks up a good point, that it is kind of hard to do that when you look at the chain analysis. Yeah, so that's pretty much all of the comments. Let's see, I think there might have been one other thing that I did want to cover. Let me just go through my tabs real quick. Let's see, I guess we can cover this one last thing real quick here. Okay, so once again, that was the Godwill. If we go back and we just see, let's see, go back. So once again, we can see 297,424,791 is currently sacrificed. It looks like the sacrifice will end for Pulsex on February 25th. But if we just compare this with pulsely.xyz, and we just see, once again, not including the origin address, the amount that's been sacrificed, we can see that it's 670 million for Pulsex, give or take. And so it's so cool to see the momentum that's already built up with, say, Pulsex. And people definitely, some of the people that say underestimated Richard in the beginning, well, they saw what Hex did, and then now they see these opportunities with Pulsechain or Pulsex currently, and they don't want to make that same mistake twice. So I think that's awesome that people are learning. Once again, that's pretty much everything. Let's get back to the chat for just 2 more comments, and then we'll end the stream here. Thanks, Bran. Pulsturbator. I like Crypto Heartbeat. Okay, hey, it says, I like Crypto Heartbeat, but too many references to God. God never helped anyone unless you give the church 10% of your wages. Yeah, I don't know. It's, I understand what you mean. I totally do. But the thing that I will say is yeah, someone might like, say, Richard, but they don't like his references of XYZ. I would say it's kind of like, give or take, like that might be at most maybe like 1% of what he, kind of mentions and accredits a lot of stuff too. But, it's all kind of, I don't know. I understand what you mean. It's all kind of perspective. Pulse sacrifice, Pulsex sacrifice equals early financial freedom. Totally. Let's see. Pulsex buy and burn is going to be nuts, says Remy Rivera. Yeah. And once again, you can go to K4K Crypto, follow him on Twitter, follow him on YouTube. But he's done really in-depth analysis and research on what that buy and burn can actually do. Because when you've got something that's completely deflationary, so Pulsechain, that's going to be completely deflationary. That's great. But something like Pulsex is also going to be completely deflationary. And then when you think about all of the fees, when you have the largest automated market maker that people are going to be trading at that's decentralized, and you've got all of those fees from those trades that are going to be directly market buying the Pulsex price and then burning it, you really have, you really have a lot of success and something that really is just primed to pump. It is game theory and fundamentals at the end of the day. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, I do. To answer your question, I do. Completion Fail says, do you think a 10,000x is possible for Pulsex? Once again, Lit with My Life is Awesome. Nice to see you, bro. I should be doing a video with him sometime soon. We can't do a stream because of his internet currently, but him and I should be doing a video hopefully soon. But he kind of does a clip from Richard. Someone had asked him the same question. They said, hey, Richard, 10,000x we hear about in Hex, right? $100 becoming $1 million, $1,000 becoming 10 million. Well, do I think that Pulsex can do a 10,000x as well? And Richard was saying, yes. I mean, not that it's going to, but that it's possible. And he always said the same thing with Hex. Yeah, this is why I don't cover religion and politics and stuff. I'm just not gonna, everyone. Yeah, I just don't like to cover that stuff. But I respect everyone's opinion, and once again, like to stick to just to crypto for the most part. I successfully done my first sacrifice. So excited! I finally feel part of something new. That's awesome. Frankie says relax. That's cool. Frankie says relax. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. This is a absolute journey, right? The learning never stops. The community is only ever expanding and growing. And you're in if you just sacrificed for, say, Pulsex or the other things that Richard's done, you're in a community of people that are constantly learning and growing. And if you can just surround yourself with successful people that are constantly helping you learn about new things or refine old things that maybe you didn't know about as well, then that can just really help you with not only your financial future, but just your understanding of all of it. Let's see. Hex Live says, get them. Hey, nice to see you, Hex Live. So yeah, once again, that was pretty much it. Didn't want to go very long on this. Once again, Whales Only, his stream was in the description. Maddie Allen is live as well. So go watch his. And I guess that's where we can end it, is the hexconference.com. So maybe just one more minute here just to tell everyone that, hey, the Hex conference is, not too far away. It's in 3 days from now. So hexconference.com. Let's scroll down just a little bit. And the hexpo.online, January 6th through 9th. That's going to be starting. So you can scroll down right here and you can see what time it starts, who is speaking, things like that. And don't miss it. I mean, the community is honestly the best thing about this, aside from the product itself. And someone like Richard took the initiative versus just, being a Bitcoiner and an early adopter. So it shows what one person can really do when they take action and they see that, hey, something can improve and be better, and what can kind of come from that. So that's it, everyone. Thank you, Completion Fails, Funding Gym, CCFX Studios, everyone. And we'll play the outro on the way out.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. didn't jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. Balliot Brand.